another episode of Stitch on Saturday. Today I'm going to be showing you how to Tunisian crochet with faux fur yarn. Today I'm using my We Crochet Fable fur yarn, and this is in the colorway Ozo. And then you'll need a yarn needle using my Clover one, and then about a 48-inch piece of yarn to weave through your stitches. That's a contrasting color so you can see it. And I'm going to be using 2 stitch markers, using my Clover again, locking stitch markers. And you need these to mark the first and last stitch of your chain. Oh, and I'm using my Denise Interchangeable Tunisian Crochet Hook in size 17, 12 mm, with a 4-inch cord and a stopper. And these are the most practical hooks that I have. They're very easy to work with. So the only way that works for me, that I think is, the easiest way, is to just feel for your stitches. Can't stress that enough. When you're working with faux fur yarn, it's very difficult to see the stitches, so the best way to go about it is just feel for your stitches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain. I'm going to just do a slip knot just like that, like you normally would. So basically I just did a slip knot with the fur yarn, and then I'm just going to chain like I normally would. So we're just going to do, I'll do 10 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so now you have this chain, right? 10 stitches. So first thing we're going to do is use our stitch markers and just lock it into our first stitch. So remember, the loop that is on your hook at all times is your first stitch. So just gonna do that, and then I'm gonna take the other stitch marker. Doesn't have to be different color, but I mean it helps if it is. So just to lock this into your last chain. So, or actually your first chain technically. So so now you know what your first and last chain are. And so your first stitch is this one. Now I'm just gonna do the foundation row. Just again, be careful and count your stitches along the way. And basically the best way is you're just gonna feel for your stitches. Just take your hook in and just feel for that back bump. It's kind of fidgety, but that's just how fur yarn is. So this is the first, and then there we go. See, found this little bump. Put your yarn through, put your hook through that bump that you found. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna, so basically what you do is you're just gonna put your finger into that loop. You see that? That's what you're gonna do. And just take your hook, stick it in, and wrap your yarn around and pull it through. That's your first chain. Again, do that with the next stitch. You are just feeling for the stitches now, for the chains. So I'm gonna find that and just put my finger through it so that I can see it. Okay, so I'm just gonna go in and then pull my yarn through. Just continue doing that. Make sure you're counting your stitches. So I did 10, so it's my first stitch, second, third. I'm gonna go into the next chain. Just feel for it, just like that. found the next chain. I'm gonna go in, pull my yarn through. That's the 4th stitch. Again, feel for it. Okay, in, and then just flip a loop. Again, feel for the next stitch, and then you're just gonna pull your yarn through, and then feel for the next stitch, pull your yarn through. Just keep feeling for the stitches. That's how you work with fur yarn. So now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Need 2 more stitches. Need to pick up 2 more. So 9. And then this one is the last stitch. Where your stitch marker is going to go in. Let's go into it. Oops. It's kind of fiddly, but again, just feel for that last chain, go in and pull up a loop. So there you have your 10 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now what you can do is, just to make sure that you're not losing your stitches along the way, take your piece of yarn, your contrast color, and just pull it through all of your stitches while they're still on the hook. Okay, so weave it through. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So this is before you do the return pass, and just pull it through. So you have it on your loops, and now you can tell which stitch is which, and you won't. So count your stitches again. Keep counting your stitches. That's the most important part when you're working with fur yarn. You don't want to lose your stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So there's 10 stitches, right? Yeah. Okay, so you got the 10 stitches. Now it's time to do our return pass. So pull up your yarn again and just do the normal return pass as you normally would. So do a chain 1 and then pull through 2. Make sure you're only pulling through 2 at a time. So 1 and 2, and then 1 and 2, 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 1, 2. There we go. So that is your first. That's the foundation row. Now you can see when you spread it apart a little bit, you can see each vertical bar, right? That's why we added our contrasting color of yarn to the chain. So now it'll be easier for us to pick up the stitches. First, let's count our stitches, okay? You have to keep doing that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Make sure you only have 10. Every single row, just count just to be sure, and also to make sure your gauge is staying the same. You're not, make sure your size is okay throughout too. So now we're going to pick up the stitches, through the vertical bars. This is our forward pass. So again, just feel for the stitches. Here's my vertical bar. Go in, pull up, go in, pull up a loop. Now again, here's my next vertical bar. Go in and pull up a loop. Go in, pull up a loop. And it helps keeping the stitches a little loose so that it's easier to go in on your next row. So make sure you're doing that. Just go in, pick up a loop, go in, pick up a loop, go in, pick up a loop. And then remember, at the end, you want to go through both these stitches, under both of these. So pull up a loop, and then now again, if you want to take this out and weave it through the next row. So take your yarn out. So again, what we're going to do is go through like we did in the previous row. Just go through loops 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And just pull through. So now all your loops are again on the yarn, so you don't lose the stitches and you can keep track of them better. So just keep going that way, continue. I'm going to show you one more return pass. And again, make sure your stitch markers are lining up. If you want, you can even take your stitch markers out and place them on the first and last stitch of every single row, just so that you know you're doing it correctly. Your stitches are lining up nicely. You're not losing any stitches. And that's how you pretty much work with fur yarn when you're doing Tunisian crochet. Some hacks that you can do. So chain 1, then just return pass. Make sure you're only going through 2. You can space it out to see them better. So go through 1 and 2. Again, go through 1, 2, 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 go through 1, and 2. 2. There we go. That's how we do it. Now, if you mess up on this return pass, just take your hook out. So then if you mess up on your return pass, just pull the yarn, and just like that, your stitches are on your yarn that you weaved through. So you're not going to lose the stitches, and your stitch markers should be in place. This one was just getting stuck a little bit, so but basically count your stitches again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You should still have your 10 stitches on there. So if you messed up on the return pass, no problem. Your stitches are safe. Just go back in and do what you were doing and pick up that missed stitch or whatever mistake you made. Just go back and correct it. And that's pretty much it in terms of working with fur yarn. That's how you would do it. I hope that helps. I hope that takes away some of the fear around working with fur yarn when you're doing Tunisian crochet. Let me know if you have any questions, if you need any more clarification, but that's pretty much it. And I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you did, please watch the other tutorials I have. Subscribe, comment, and share with anyone you think would benefit from it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.